Hello, I'm Jamie Belanger, the Finance Chair here at Southwest Church, and I'm here to give you our last update of the year for 2020. I know it's a little late in that we're actually in 2021, but we wanted to make sure that we got you this update again just in the interest of transparency to let you know what's going on with the financial health of the church. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about where we finished 2020. And then spend a little bit of time looking forward to 2021 and the plans that we've set for the coming year. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at where we finished in 2020. We finished 2020 with an average weekly offering of about 17,200, which was an increase of almost 4% versus 2019. So given everything that we were faced with in 2020, that's pretty remarkable. Another thing to point out, as you can see on the chart here, is that our 2020 average was about $1,000 below the target that the leadership team set for the year. And if you remember from previous updates, when giving is below target, we actually sometimes have had to pay the mortgage from special offerings. We've had to reduce our missions giving, and I'm happy to report that we didn't have to do any of that. In 2020, we were able to make all of our mortgage payments out of our general offering. Our cash position actually remains very strong, very healthy. And as a reminder, we talked about this in one of my previous updates, but we actually made the decision to not take advantage of the PPP loans that were made available throughout the year. That was something we really prayerfully considered, but ultimately decided that we thought we would be able to weather the challenges of 2020 without that support, and really felt strongly that we wanted that support to make sure that it got into the hands of people that needed it more than we did. And so I'm happy to report again that we're financially very healthy, and we were able to maintain our commitment to missions giving at 10%. And this goes all the way back to March of 2014, when our leadership team made the commitment to give back 10% of what comes in the form of offering to our mission partners locally, nationally, and internationally. And so we're still wrapping up some gifts for the year, but we expect to finish with just over $90,000 in missions giving in 2020. That works out to a little over 10% of the offering. And so one of the things I wanted to highlight, that includes all of our support, for Lifeline and the SCAC and just various mission partners that we've supported throughout the year. One of the things we've started to do recently was we've actually adopted the teachers over at 5 Points Elementary in Springboro, and so we've been providing them over the last several months with some appreciation gifts. It's a very challenging year for them as well, and they've been just so thankful for that support, and that's something we're actually going to look to continue as we move into to 2021. So again, $90,000, that's just really a staggering number and so impactful when you think about what a challenging year it was for so many, that your generosity has made such a difference to a lot of people that were suffering in 2020. And so there's a lot to be thankful for, and it's not what any of us had planned for, obviously, when we started 2020, but we know that God is in control, and it's so encouraging to see Him continuing to work in the life of this church. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time looking forward to 2021 and the targets that the leadership team set. So they met at the end of last year and actually set an offering target of $18,600 per week for 2021. The target was set to keep up with our current ministry projections and to be in line with past budget increases when we compare those to prior year actuals. And so the 2021 target, as you can see, represents an increase of about 8% over 2020's giving average. And that's right around the average increase that we've set over the last 5 years. We've been averaging about a 10% increase that we're striving for, so this 8% is right in line with that. So in addition to increasing our ministry efforts in 2021, it's important to remember as well that part of that increase is driven by the fact that 2021 will be the first full year that we have Rocky on board, who's serving as our connections minister, and so that's driving some of the increase year over year as well. So let's spend a little bit of time looking at how that target breaks down. So as you can see, personnel costs are the largest portion of that piece of the pie there at 48%, And the building costs are next at 20%. And that includes things like the mortgage, maintenance, utilities, those sorts of things. And those amounts are sort of broadly in line with last year. The facilities portion is slightly lower. I think it was 23% last year, so it's down a little bit, but very much in line with where we've been in previous years. And so that leaves about 32% left, which is mostly made up of our missions giving at 10%, and some other ministry efforts, worship arts, children, students, et cetera. That's about 12%. And again, those are both sort of in line with where we were in 2020. One other thing to point out, you can see we've actually set aside 5% for additional principal payments in 2021. That works out to about $50,000. In 2020, we actually were able to make over $60,000 in additional principal payments toward the mortgage. Although it's important to note that $16,000 of that $60,000 amount actually came from our next gen giving that we had been holding in a Fifth Third account, and so we closed that account when the campaign officially ended. But really great sign that we're healthy enough that we're able to make these additional principal payments to really help pay down that mortgage balance. And again, another thing I'd say about these targets is that, and I've mentioned this previously, that those targets are really in line with a model that we look at for growing churches, and that tells us that we should be focusing about 50% of our resources on personnel and about 30% on facilities. And so as you can see, our targets are right around those levels for the coming year. So if you'd like any more detail about the 2021 targets or anything else related to the financial health of the church, please feel free to reach out to myself or Kyle Brockmeyer or Terry Parks, the other members of the finance team. As always, we would be happy to answer any questions that you have. So I just want to thank you for your time today. I hope you've found this update encouraging. And first and foremost, I hope that you and your families are staying safe and healthy. Thank you.